So the number one thing I want to address in this topic is that stop thinking that if you did chase after the breakup, that you've done some irreparable damage, that they're gone forever. One of the main questions I get from clients is they'll say something like, I saw your videos, I saw a lot of videos actually on no contact and trying to win my ex back, but I think I already sabotaged it. I chased really hard, I begged, I pleaded for a couple of weeks, sometimes it's a couple of months. But understand that's a normal reaction. It's instinctive. That's not evidence that you're weak. That's not evidence that you've drained all attraction for all time. It's actually a pretty normal situation. Most people don't watch no contact videos until they've already responded to the breakup. Unless you saw the breakup coming, it doesn't make sense you would have prepared for something that blindsided you. That's what the definition of blindside means. So if you did, take a deep breath, stop panicking. But the main thing is, once somebody's already committed to the panic strategy, they almost feel locked into it. Well, I've already been begging, I've already been chasing, and hey, she's still taking my text messages. He's still responding to me. Well, what are they saying when you keep chasing and begging? Well, they keep saying no. They keep saying that it's too late. They'll even say things like, I want to give you another try. I wish I could give it another try, but too much has happened. I just don't feel the way I should feel. I just can't do it, but I wish I could. So just that I wish I could gives you enough invitation, enough motivation to keep reaching out over and over. So the number one mistake when somebody starts begging and pleading after a breakup isn't that they begged and pleaded, it's that they won't stop because they now almost feel like they're pot committed. Well, I've already done it now. If I stop, and maybe they broke up with me because I did something wrong. So we start to think that begging, pleading, and chasing is my penance. This is how I prove to them that I really am sorry. They found out that I cheated on them. They found out that I stole from them. They found out that I lied to them. They found out something. Well, I hurt them. I wounded them. So part of my evidence to them that I really am sorry, that I really will change, is now I have to humiliate and humble and just lower myself and beg and plead and chase. The problem is, even if it feels like at the beginning that was working, the more you beg, the more you plead, the more you chase, the more you're accidentally psychologically framing them as the prize and framing yourself as not a prize at all. Begging and pleading and this sense of loyalty or eternal loyalty as being this main attraction or this powerful draw to your ex isn't true. Just imagine for yourself, you're breaking up with somebody and they beg and they plead and they chase. Your pity, your sympathy, maybe you feel guilty because you hurt them. Maybe you just feel this, aw. When you look at somebody and think, aw, that's not actually attractive. That actually drains attraction. So even if it felt like it was on the verge of working at the beginning, which is what keeps people locked into this approach, the truth is you're draining power. You can probably feel it. You can probably tell that at the beginning of the breakup, I felt like I almost had them back, but the more I've chased, the more I've patiently waited for another chance and their forgiveness on the porch, just hoping for one more chance, the less I feel like it's going to happen. And a lot of times they'll even tell you that. I need some time to think about it. Okay, just take all the time that you need. Okay, I've come back, I've thought about it, I think this is a bad idea. That's because you've mentally, emotionally, and psychologically placed them up here. Now, let's say in that relationship, they didn't feel like they were in the power position for a long time. Right now, they're finally here. Why would they want to give this up? Being here now feels good. Having you humble yourself, chase after them, empathize with them, list all of the flaws, all of the mistakes, all of your wrongdoing, just boost them up more and more, where with you it lowers. Now, don't get me wrong. If you've done something wrong, own it. Take accountability for it. But there's a difference in expressing sorrow and regret and true repentance for what you've done by saying it once, saying it clearly and meaning it, and making about a change and changing, whether they come back or not. But once you repeat an apology over and over, every time you apologize, it takes a little bit more of the strength out and replaces it with desperation. If me and my wife get into a fight, and let's say I do something wrong, I want her to know that I'm sorry. And if I say, you're right, I don't have any excuse for that, I'm so sorry, and I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to change my behavior. That might sound strong. Now, if I say that once, and then, I really am sorry, Can you please forgive me? I won't do it again. I wrote a 3-page letter about how sorry I am. I wrote a 10-page letter about how sorry I am. Can I rub your feet? So the more I beg, the more I plead, the more it accidentally sends this message. I don't know that he's actually sorry. I think he's scared. I think he's afraid that he's lost me. I think he's desperate. I think he's clingy. I think he's emotionally afraid of living life without me. So it actually lowers attraction. They stop instinctively believing that it's you about taking accountability, and it's more about you just being overwhelmed by this fear of losing them. That's not actually an attractive position to be in. So stop thinking that because you chased, you've ruined it. Stop thinking because you've chased, you need to commit to this strategy because it's going to work against you. And understand that if you did chase, there are situations when it can actually work to your benefit. If you started chasing, then what you've accidentally done is, like I just said, you have built up their sense of self-worth, especially if during the relationship, again, they felt like they were a little bit luckier to be with you. Maybe you agreed. Maybe you both thought they were a little luckier to be with you than you were to be with them because you were in, for lack of a better phrase, you were in the power position in that relationship. That's a really powerful thing to somebody's ego when they've been in a relationship for a year or 2 or 3 or maybe longer, and all of a sudden they're the ones that know they can live without you and you're the one desperate to live with them. It's just part of how we're wired. Our sense of importance, our sense of ego, our sense of self-worth starts to really rise. The more you chase, the more you push that balloon up into the air. The further apart the two of you get. You want two people that feel lucky to be together. If you overly chase, it throws that balance off and it can actually lower attraction. Where initially taking accountability is a good thing, overly apologizing can, I promise you, drain that attraction from the other person. And normally when you've really drained it, you'll hear this. This is one of the main things you'll hear from your ex when they come back in this situation. I really do believe you're sorry, and I'm sorry that it's taken this long, and I'm sorry that I can't do it. A lot of times if you're in this begging and pleading stage, they might say, I just need some time. I just need a month. I just need a week. Now when you do that, normally what happens, because you've begged and pleaded for more time, they'll take that time and soak in this feeling of importance. And they love this new feeling of strength. Now breaking up with you to them symbolizes evidence of their growth, evidence of them coming into their own power, evidence of them starting a new chapter. Now that's a really addictive, just kind of an emotionally seductive position to be in. Why would they give up that sense of peace? Why would they give up that sense of power? Why would they give up that ego boost to step back into a relationship where they spent the majority of it feeling like they weren't the one in control? So when you beg and plead and chase and ask for extra time, normally they'll take that extra time and really realize how much they enjoy being in power. And they'll come back and say something like this to you. I've really taken the time, and I know that you really are sorry, and I really believe you that you want to try again and things could be better. I just can't do it. They almost talk like it's out of their control. I wish I could come back. I wish we could try it again, but I've been too hurt. I don't know how to get past what happened in the past, and I have to be honest with myself, and I think you deserve somebody that wants to be with you, and that's not me right now. So they'll give you pity, they'll give you sympathy, they'll give you guilt over hurting you, not much, but it doesn't actually drive up attraction. So if this has happened to you, this is probably why it's happened to you. Human instinct is more powerful than human logic. You're applying to them logically. Because you're in pain, you're applying logic. And logic tells you, we had a good relationship in a lot of ways. So if I can just make him or her believe that all the things I got wrong, I'm ready to change. If I can just make them believe that everything that I did to screw this up, I can recognize and I can fix and I can improve. Now we have the old relationship we had back with all the great, with none of the bad, which makes our relationship perfect. I just need to explain all this to them so they can see coming back to me makes the most sense. And you apply to them logically. But what they're feeling is instinctive. And instinctively, what they're feeling is power. They're feeling a sense of self-respect. They're feeling a sense of self-value. Maybe during the relationship, they even told you things like, I'm afraid you're going to leave me. I've never met anybody like you. I'm afraid one day you're going to break up with me, or I'm afraid we're not going to end up together. That fear's gone now. That feels really good to be living fear-free in a relationship where the other person was in a power position. And they can preserve that by simply not coming back to you. Now this impressive person that they always felt so lucky to be dating is like a constant trophy to them that they can look back on anytime and think, that incredible person is somebody that I walked away from. Last I heard, they wanted me back desperately. But I've grown. I've realized my sense of self-worth. I stood up for myself. I feel empowered now. I feel stronger. I feel like I'm growing. Going back to them is going back to the old me. I don't want to go back to the old me. So you're accidentally really setting yourself up to be a constant source of ego boost to them. The more you keep chasing, the more you keep pleading, the more you keep begging. However, if you've done that and then you stop, it's almost like a form of pattern interruption. Whereas you chasing before put you in what you might call an emotionally submissive position, which is not attractive, you stopping the chase, especially abruptly stopping the chase, and showing that you're strong enough to live without them, now all of a sudden they're going to experience something even they don't understand. Because again, we think we're logical. We're not nearly as logical as we think we are. We're ego driven a lot more than we think we are. We're driven by fears a lot more than we think we are. And one of the fears most people have in a relationship is that they're going to lose the key relationship. They're going to lose the person that they were meant to be with. So if you had a significant relationship and they saw you as the one they were supposed to be with for a long enough time, and then the breakup happens and you started chasing, if you stop chasing, you start activating that fear that maybe they made a mistake. And this is how it's working. By chasing, you put them on this pedestal. And you've lowered your sense of self-worth by the begging and the pleading, but you've accidentally gotten them used to this feeling of importance, this feeling of value. You've accidentally overinflated their ego, their sense of self-worth by your pursuit. Well, if you stop it, one of the things about our ego, we like feeling good about ourselves. And when suddenly this person who's been chasing stops chasing, all of a sudden it's almost internally, it creates a little bit of a panic. This isn't a Coach Ken revelation. This is part of human nature. Anytime somebody's giving you a consistent source of importance and value and pursuit, and then suddenly they stop pursuing, they stop giving you that value, they stop giving you that overinflated sense of your own self-worth, and they quit, it triggers this internal sense of, what's wrong? Am I not as great as they thought I was? I mean, I know why I didn't want to be with them, but I thought they really wanted to be with me. So that sense of worth takes a shot. Right now, what you're feeling right now, in a lot of ways, is an example of this principle that I'm talking about. Maybe you thought you were in the power position for a long time. Maybe you didn't see the breakup coming, but when they broke up with you, there was a part of you that was used to their persistent love, used to their persistent value, used to their consistent sense of you're important. They were boosting your self-worth, and now it's gone. And not only is it gone, they've told you they don't want to be with you anymore. Now, out of all the people in the world, you're one of the few people they know they don't want to be with. That hurts your ego. That hurts your sense of value, your own sense of how you see yourself. And some of that panic is causing you to need them back right now. You can apply this principle to work for you as much as it's working against you. It's just scary. You have to go against the fear. You have to go against the logic. But all of a sudden, if you've been begging, pleading, and chasing, and then you stop, it makes them instinctively wonder why. Now, if you're going to do this approach, don't go into radio silence. If you're begging, pleading, and chasing, and then go quiet, what's the most obvious assumption they're going to make? Well, they haven't done anything. I don't see them on social media. They're not going out. It's total radio silence because they're wounded. When I broke up with them, they begged and chased and pleaded for a couple of weeks, even a couple of months. And then they just dropped off the map. I'm pretty sure they're somewhere licking their wounds. Right now, they're somewhere recovering. But the last I heard and the last I saw, they were desperate to get me back so they can take the pursuit that you were giving them and almost live off of it like a fuel, knowing that they were the prized possession in the end and that you've gone quiet because you're so hurt, you're so wounded. So if you can use social media, use your overlapping of friends. You don't want to go overboard. You don't want to be transparent. You don't want to, I always say, don't go to a margarita bar. Don't go on a party boat. Don't have pictures of you with a red Solo cup in your hand and bikini-clad chicks hanging off of you, or don't go to Chippendales if that's still a thing. In other words, don't go overboard. Don't make it obvious. But show that you're content. Show that you're living life. Show that you were able to stop, take a deep breath, realize your self-worth, and you resumed being that person that they were so in love with at the beginning of the relationship. Remind yourself that endless pursuit does not project attraction. Endless pursuit boosts their ego and lowers their value. We're not actually attracted to the person who keeps telling us they're too weak to live without us. We want to be with somebody that, by capturing their heart, it boosts my sense of self-worth. You want two people that feel lucky to be with each other. You both want to feel like you're with somebody that's just a little bit too good for you. Because if I'm with somebody that's a little bit too good for me, that pulls up how I see myself. That pulls up how I feel about myself. If you're endlessly begging and chasing, then you're telling somebody to connect and commit to somebody who's worth less. So that's not really a turn on. We think we want to be with somebody that loves us more than life, but it's actually obnoxious. It feels like worship, and like I've said before, worship is not attractive. Well, think back to the person that just broke up with you. You've been begging and chasing and pleading, lowering how they see you, and overinflating their already overinflated ego and sense of self-worth. If you stop, and remember the version of you that they fell in love with. In the beginning, they probably felt so lucky to be with you. And that sense of so lucky to be with you is closely, intimately connected to attraction. Somebody can't feel so lucky to be with you if you keep telling them how lucky you'd be to be with them. So you've set them up. You've kind of put that ego, imagine their ego as a balloon. You've put it high into the sky. Now if you turn around and walk away, start focusing on yourself. Remember the version of yourself that you were when they were initially attracted to you in the first place, and you can create what we call as emotional whiplash. It's all of a sudden, wait a minute, why aren't they chasing me? All of a sudden, why do they seem okay without me? You know, when I look at their social media, when I talk to friends that know them, they sound like they're doing really well. Why does it bother me when I find out they're doing really well? Why does it bother me when I see them smiling? Why does it bother me when I see them actually living the life that we were living together, following through with plans that we were making together? Give them time for that overinflated sense of self-worth to wear off. Let life come in and hit them with something that's going to pull them back down to earth. If you're endlessly chasing, even if they go through a rough day, they can use you for an ego rebound without ever getting back in touch with you. As a matter of fact, in this situation, a lot of times that ex will reach out to you. I'm sorry, I just wasn't feeling good. I'm sorry, I wasn't having a good day. I'm sorry, I just thought about this and I needed to talk to you. Is it okay? I probably shouldn't be doing this. And you're there as their emotional crutch. You accidentally serve as the training wheels to help them learn to live life without you. Thanks for connecting with me for 2 or 3 hours and falling asleep with me on the phone. Now you won't hear from me for another 3 months until I start to feel this emotional wound again, and I need you there to boost me back up. Don't be somebody's strength to help them get over you. If they're not with you, let them have the full effects of your absence. What I'm talking about flips the narrative because it hits that sense, that fear of loss. Well, what if that person that I broke up with, and they chased and pleaded and begged, but then they stopped? What if they really did learn from what they apologized for? What if they really are going to be a better version of the person that I was with when I felt so lucky to be with them? Now they're even better? Somebody else is going to get the 2.0 version of the person that I loved so much? And they seem strong enough to live without me, which is attractive. They stopped chasing. They stopped begging. I think they actually just learned a lesson from our relationship. Somebody else is going to end up with the love of my life because I was so wounded, because I let my ego get carried away, and I wouldn't trust or I wouldn't risk getting back into a relationship. Maybe we needed to go through that as a couple. Maybe we needed to overcome some of these pains to actually be stronger. Those kind of thoughts start getting triggered when you show strength after showing pursuit. Now, this is even more true if you're dealing with somebody that might be borderline, or somebody that's a narcissist, or somebody that's a manipulator. And I'm not trying to throw all three of those into one group and saying it's all the same thing. I'm saying it works because it hits different triggers. With borderline, a lot of times they idealize somebody until that person proves they're not perfect, or they feel like they've actually conquered the heart of that person completely, which actually triggers this hyper-analysis from fear of engulfment, which makes them push away. If you can prove that you're strong enough to live without them, it can actually help reframe you as the one they're afraid of losing. Somebody with borderline usually struggles with this fear of abandonment, and they believe that the man or the woman of their dreams is going to be somebody too high value to eventually choose them, or they're afraid they're going to sabotage the love of their life. So if you can gather yourself, project strength, and legitimately, don't just fake it, legitimately remind yourself of your worth. Focus on yourself. Remember that you don't need to be with somebody that's not excited about being with you, no matter what your heart's telling you. Start sincerely focusing on remembering the value of being you, and actively campaign against this idea that you can't live without them. That's a very normal, powerful thought. I can't live without them. I don't want to live without them. But sometimes you have to directly tell yourself, but if I have to, I will. You have to be tough with your own mind and your own heart. I know it feels like I'll never recover from this. I know it feels like I'll never get over the hurt of losing them. But if I have to, I will. The person that tells themselves that instantly becomes more attractive. The person with outcome lock, I have to get this person back. It creates this deep down sense of brokenness and desperation that is really hard to overcome and replace with attraction. So you really have to not just project it, start working on reminding yourself of the truth of you despite the feeling in that moment. But the point is, with borderline, if you can prove that you're strong enough to walk away, a lot of times it does trigger that fear of abandonment. And at the core of borderline, it's an identity crisis. So they struggle with knowing for certain how they feel about other people and how they view themselves. So if you can project strength, a lot of times it can reattract. Now, if it does reattract, I would recommend that go get some therapy, go get some help. I mean, you might need it as much as the person with borderline. A lot of times they're attracted to somebody who has their own issues going on, so you both might need therapy. My point is that it's effective with borderline. With narcissism, it's also effective for a different reason. With narcissism, there's this overly sensitive ego. And they really like the idea that their ex is chasing, begging, and pleading. I don't care what they're telling you, they're enjoying that pursuit. When you stop chasing, and then you actually prove that you don't need them anymore and start living your life, it triggers this ego wound in them. Well, I thought you were crazy about me. I thought I caught you. I thought I conquered you. Why do you seem okay without me? I get a lot of calls from narcissists who are desperate to win back their ex because their ex no longer wants them back. Now, as long as their ex was chasing them endlessly, they were okay. But now that ex that they thought was going to be their safety net, that they thought was their backup plan, isn't even returning their calls. And sometimes they'll call me, and those will be the most desperate, the most in pain people I talk to. The narcissist who has an ex that finally lost interest in them. So it works in different situations for different reasons. Don't think that if you chased and that you pleaded, you broke it. Just don't stay committed to that approach. Don't feel like you have to. The other thing that chasing does is it accidentally makes them kind of recommit over and over and even dig down deeper in their decision. Look at it like this. The more you chase, the more you plead, the more you're throwing them the same question over and over again. Every time you throw the question, you're taking strength from you and giving it to them. So when you say, please don't do this, and they say, I'm sorry, I need to break up. And then you're like, please don't break up with me. Well, now you look less attractive because now you're begging, now you're pleading. So you just handed them more strength, more worth. So then you repeat the question. Now that they're stronger and you're weaker, how about now? Nah, no. How about now? How about now? How about now? Please, please, I change this. I'll give you this, whatever you need. The more you're chasing, the more you're begging, the more you're offering. Look at it like every sentence to them is you handing over some strength and attractiveness. There you go, I'm less attractive now. There you go, I'm less strong now. Okay, now I'm going to keep repeating the question, and every time I repeat the question, I'm doing this and you're doing this. This gap is getting wider with every question, but I'm committed to it, so I'm going to keep asking. That's what you're doing. Take a breath and pull back. Stop putting yourself at the disadvantage and putting them in the power position. Pull back and stop getting them to recommit and even reinforce the decision to reject you. It's also giving them the emotional closure of knowing that at the end of this relationship with this incredible person, the end of this relationship marked a chapter in my life where I gained new strength, where I realized my own value, and I've really grown. I've become empowered. Again, this is a new chapter in my life. People don't like to give back chapters. So the more you chase, the more you plead, the more you're reinforcing that. When you stop, it takes away that sense of closure. It takes away a little bit of that sense of, I've outgrown you. It puts them back into a state of curiosity and mystery. It's instinctive for us to wonder why somebody stopped chasing us and giving us so much value. It makes them kind of want to peek in on your life. And when they peek in on your life and they see that you look a lot more like the person they fell in love with than the desperate, weak person who kept chasing them, your chances of winning them back go up. But understand this, even if you understand the principles that I'm talking about, leaving it out is going to create panic in you. So be prepared for that. The reason you chased, begged, and pleaded in the first place is that you lost something that felt vital to you. So instinctively you wanted to chase to hold on. You wanted to hold on tight. The tighter you tried to hold, the more strength you were giving away. But now you're in a panic because things look worse than they ever have before. When things look worse, we panic more. The more we panic, the more we react. The more we react, the worse the situation gets. So just be prepared for this flood of anxiety to hit you. That little voice telling you, are you sure? Are you sure? What if they were on the verge of coming back because you were proving to them how sorry you were? You apologized 137 times. Maybe 216 times was the magic number and you quit. You should probably reach out to them now and apologize for going no contact for 5 days. Maybe that made them doubt how sorry you were the 2 weeks that you were chasing. So don't give in to that voice. It's going to encourage you to do things to sabotage it more. Just trust me on this. Projecting strength, resilience, and being exceptional in some way is far more attractive than endless pleas and begging. And run it through your own test. When you break up with somebody, the more they beg, plead, and chase, you feel pity, you feel sympathy. You might even feel a little bit of guilt for the pain that you caused them. But you're probably not feeling attraction. You're probably not feeling like, oh man, when they cried and begged and pleaded, got down on their knees and tears were streaming down their eyes, I've never wanted anybody more. Oh, it's like we just ravaged each other the rest of the night. That doesn't happen very much. So just take a deep breath. Don't let the panic dictate your actions. Remember the strongest version of you and act that version out even if it doesn't feel authentic. The strongest version of you isn't the person you're going to feel like right now. That doesn't make him any less true or her any less true. So I hope this video has been some help. If you can, give me a like, a share, and a subscribe, and I'll be back again soon. You can find me at realcoachken.com because details do matter. So just finding out exactly the situation, the people involved, and what led to the breakup can actually give some pretty helpful insight, obviously. So let me know if I can be of any help. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.